What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Swish Life Garage. I'm back with it on the Insight motor. If you guys saw the previous video, I just kind of cleaned some things on up, took the engine harness on off, took down the oil pan, and there was some water inside of the motor. Previous person I bought it from said they did take off the valve cover. It rained quite a bit, and that's how the water got in there, but they didn't start the motor. I really want to make sure to get any water that may be remaining in there, so I'm going to get the oil pan taken on down, get the caps taken off, check the bearings on out, spray some brake clean, and just thoroughly go over it. I'm going to get the cherry picker hooked on up to these chains, get the motor in the air, and we'll have a look. I'm going to start off by taking up the oil pickup pump. Since I just took this down, it's looking pretty good. I see just straight oil coming out of these little valleys here. If you see that, it's looking good, so I don't see water in there. Took off all the main caps and the caps for the pistons or the rods, and everything looks pretty good. Honestly, I didn't see any sort of water come out of there or anything like that. Like I said, it was just that water or that mixture right there. Not bad at all down here, but while I'm at it, I am going to use some brake clean, spray everything on down, and just really get it clean. This is just to ensure that once I put the motor in, everything is good to start up and good to go. Now that I freshly sprayed the brake clean on here, everything's starting to really dry out. So just real quick, I'm going to spray a light coat of WD-40 just to prevent any sort of like flash rust. I am going to put everything on back on here today, but I'm just going to quickly protect it for the meantime. Honestly, I was thinking about using some Plastigauge and checking the tolerances for the bearings and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's good, man. Just look at it. This one looks fine. That one looks fine. This one probably has like the most, like if anything, if you see those like scratches that run along, but it's really not even that bad at all. And then this other one, but everything looks pretty good, honestly. So I'm not going to use the Plastigauge. I'm going to just clean the caps back up with some brake clean and just make sure they're free of any water, dirt. Sprayed this cap on down for the #1 cylinder or #1 rod. Looks pretty good if you guys are able to see the bearing on there. And it's all dried up, so I'm going to use some Permatex Ultra Slip. First startup, first turns, it'll already be lubricated. Clean towel right here on the crank. I'm going to clean it off. Any dirt, anything on there. That looks good. I'm going to bring the rod on down. I did push it up. Wipe that down also. Put some lube on the crank. Set that on there. I'm going to set this cap on there. It can only go one way because it has like these dowel pins. Clean up the rod bolts. Per the shop manual, it says to add a little bit of oil onto the connecting rod bolts. I'm just putting a little bit of oil on it. Now I'm gonna tighten up the connecting rod bolts. They're only supposed to be at 7.8 foot-pounds. After the rod bolts are tightened down to 7.2 foot-pounds, the shop manual says to give it an extra 90-degree turn, so that's what I did on all 3 cylinders. Now I washed down the main cap here, or the girdle, and went through the bearings. I took out the bearings individually, cleaned up behind them, make sure there wasn't any brake clean behind there, any dirt. Same thing with the tops of the bearings. You could tell they look pretty good, man. They look basically brand new. They still have all the little ridges on them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some Ultra Slick on the main bearings on the tops here, just to make sure everything is lubricated, and I'm going to put this back onto the crank. I'm just going to loosely put the bolts back in because I'm not ready to tighten this up just yet. Alright, man, so it's been a few days since I last touched the motor, but I'm going to take back off the main bearing cap here. The bolts are just loosely installed. Just take them back off, shake this thing back off so I could finally fully install this thing. I do have to apply some Honda Bond up over here on the cap, and so I'm going to get to that, and of course I have to torque everything down. I'm going to show you the service manual on what it says for everything so you guys could go by that as well. Of course, I'm not putting the pistons in. I'm basically going from here, checking rod bearing clearance with plastic gauge. Since the bearings look pretty much brand new, I'm skipping the plastic gauge. It says apply oil to main bearings and rod bearings and tighten up the rod bearings. You do have some spacers, or it says here thrust washers for the crankshaft, so make sure those don't fall out. It says apply oil to threads of connecting rod bolts, which I have, and it says how to sequence them, but of course this is like putting in the crank as if you were rebuilding the motor. Here on the other page, tighten connecting rod bolts to 7.2 foot-pounds and then additional 90 degrees. And right here is where I'm at. Apply liquid gasket along the broken line. There is the main bearing cap, and so the broken line, going to apply the Honda Bond right on there, just those 2 spots, and then place the main bearing cap on the block. Apply engine oil to threads on bearing cap bolts, which I will, and then tighten main cap bolts in sequence to 18 foot-pounds. And then after 18 foot-pounds, tighten bearing cap bolts additional 60 degrees. Main cap ready to go on. Have the Honda Bond on the end there. Threw a little bit more Ultra Slick assembly lube on there, so gonna throw this back on the motor. So next time around on these bolts, everything will be tightened down to 18 foot-pounds. Alright, so now extra 60 degrees. Eyeball it. So 90 is right here. 60 would probably be around there, right? So the main cap is tightened up. As of now, I'm finished up with that for now. I put the oil pan back on just to sit it down. So what I'm going to do next is work on this here on the rear. I'm going to take off the flex plate. I'm not going to need that. The car I have is manual, so I'm going to have to put the flywheel and the clutch back here. But it is just held on by these 14 mil bolts. More than likely just hold in the front to keep it from spinning while I take those off. There is the flex plate. I won't need that. The service manual says to disconnect these, I have to access this cover over here. So I will have to remove this water outlet or inlet here, this whole thing, remove that to access that, remove these, and then it does say to remove this plastic cover and remove this sensor to properly disconnect them. It does say to remove the stator, which I don't know, I've seen videos of people removing the whole thing with the stator still in there, or the rotor, whatever you want to call that. I'm gonna try to just leave it in there because I don't have the special tool to take that out, and we'll see what happens. All this seems to be connected to the head. It seems like it's gonna be with some oil passages, more than likely. But I'm just taking these sensors out because I don't know if it's reading the cam here, and the sensor's right up against the cam. So whenever I remove it, you know, I don't want to damage anything. Just pulling them out so they're not right up on it if they are. Trying to remove these water pipes over here that go into this piece, but it looks like there's going to be a bolt that holds in the pipe, or at least one of the pipes, and the throttle body is going to be in the way, so I am going to remove that. How to take these coolant hoses off of it, and then do have a gasket. There's that 10 mil bolt holding in the coolant line. Alright, made a little shade, hopefully it looks better, but there's another 10 mil over here that holds in this water pipe. Now they should be loosened up. It's tightly in there. I'm going to continue to take these other 10 mils off of the back here. Alright, so there that piece is, and yeah, like I said, there is the cam and the sensors. So good thing I took that out. So now I have access to the cover here to get these plugs disconnected. So there that goes, and it looks like just some 10 mils to get that out. These bolts are already removed. I don't know where they are, but I have to get them from my car. Pull these on out. And there that goes. Plugs are out. That was pretty easy. I guess the hard part is taking out this water inlet outlet piece. For now, I'm just going to loosely install everything back on, just because I'm going to have to take it off again whenever putting the motor into the car. I'm going to have to reconnect stuff. So just going to put this back on here. Put focus back onto the stator, onto this electric motor. I'm going to take off these 10 mil bolts holding on this plastic cover, and then we should have access to some sensors over here to completely get this out. Here are the sensors. Look like they're going to have some 8 mil bolts holding them in. Now I'll take off the 210s in the front. Now honestly, I'm not going to pull it completely out because it kind of seems like a pain to just kind of get them on in there. So just going to have them just like that, just loose. I'm going to put some focus on the stator. Hopefully just taking out these bolts here, we'll be able to get this disconnected. Looks like these are 14 also. Alright, so after I get those off, got two 12s, one over here, another one over here, and then After that, everything should be loose and should be able to take this off. Oh shit. Almost dropped that, man. This thing is pretty heavy, honestly. I kind of have an issue here. I took off the stator, the electric motor, and that is off. There is the flex plate. This does weigh quite a bit. If you guys saw, I almost dropped it, but caught it just in time. And luckily I don't need that special tool to pull out the rotor out of there. But the issue that I'm having, I kind of noticed when I was taking the bolts off for the stator, that whenever I was holding the crank doesn't move at a certain point. Look, it's turning, then it stops. I can't turn it, you know. I don't want to put like pressure on it and ruin something, but turn it back and it stops. With it being like that, you know, of course I can't run it like that. I got to figure out what's causing it to bind up, or if there's some sort of obstruction or something like that. And honestly, I didn't even spin the motor before taking things apart. If you guys saw my other video, I did put some automatic transmission fluid down on the cylinders, and I was meaning to spin the motor after doing that, but you know, just time goes by and then I came back to it and I just started working on it without spinning it. I do have an engine stand that I'm going to be able to put this on, but now I have the stator off, I'll be able to put the engine stand and hook it up right onto there. And I'll get the front cover off, get the crank off. But as you guys saw, the bearings look pretty much brand new. I'm not sure what's the issue. It might be my fault or it might have been there before. But I'll get it figured out and we'll see what it is. Maybe it's just like a little bit of dirt or something like that. I have the motor on the stand like a witness, and I'm going to take off the pulley, the crank pulley right here. Got to get the crank tool and a 19. Going to take off the mount bracket, then after that start taking off the 10s for the lower timing cover. For this crank, I kind of had to grind down these corners, and even then I should have grinded it down more because it was hard to get out of here, but I had to just hammer it in there to really grab on, or else it'll start slipping. But I finally got the crank off. I had to get some help to hold everything down and break it loose. So let me take it off. Now I'm going to take off this mount, this bracket. I'm going to take off the bolts for the water pump to get this out of the way, to get to that 10 over there. Now I'm going to get all the 10s around here, and then there's 2 10s on top. There it goes. So it seems like you gotta pull it evenly. Finally got the oil pump. It's the oil pump with the lower cover all together in one. I took off the timing or the chain tensioner just because I didn't know if it had something to do with it, but it didn't. But I'm gonna take off these guides. It's 10 mil, and then it looks like an Allen. My bad, the battery had died, but I loosened these up and I got the chain just around it and able to get the chain off. So I loosened up the main cap and they're just real loosely on there. I haven't knocked it loose yet. But even if I turn the crank right now, I was thinking maybe I put the main cap too tight, but right now it should be loose, right? And then it still gets stuck. Turning my hand, it still gets stuck. The only piston that is kind of not moving much is this number 3 piston. It only goes down so much. I don't know if you guys could see, that's where it stops at. I'm pretty sure that piston is going to be my issue. So I'm stuck, and then it comes back down, and then it looks like it gets stuck at the same spot. Boom. These other pistons are going up and down, but this one is just on its certain rotation to where it's just going in and out, just at the very bottom. So now I'm gonna turn it on over, get the bore camera, and see if I find anything in there. Main cap completely off. See right there, it gets stuck. Put a little pressure. Almost got these thrust washers. But anyways, I still gotta thoroughly go through everything. Right now I'm just gonna loosen up the pistons, and so I can have the crank free. I just loosely threw everything back together just because this is where I'm gonna end the video. I've already recorded on several different days on just checking on the motor here and there, but at least now I know I gotta thoroughly go through this motor, see what's causing the crank to bind up, or somewhere within the pistons starting to give me that bind in there. I was hoping to get a little bit more done onto this video, but you know, on working on these projects, you never know what's going to come up next, especially on something that you haven't ran personally yourself. One thing I do want to make note of is I did take off the cap here for the cam. That shows you the bolt for the cam, and for some reason that bolt was loose. I just got it with my fingers and it was loose, so I just wanted to make note of it. I never loosened it or anything like that. Possibly someone else just messing with stuff, I'm not sure. But let me know what you guys think. What's causing this issue with this motor, that bind up? Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. There are going to be videos regarding this Insight coming up very soon. I know I did take a little bit time off on some of the projects and stuff, but you know, personal life gets in the way and that comes first. But check out the other video I have on the Insight, get yourself familiar with it, and hopefully soon you guys will be able to see this thing on the road. Give this video a thumbs on up if you guys can. It helps me get these videos on out to other people that have not seen this channel, and hopefully will give them the information and knowledge that they need in order to work on their car as well. But that is going to be it for me, guys. Again, make sure you subscribe, like this video, check out some of the other videos, because I'm going to have to catch you in that next one play.